An update on my acrylic nails. I still have 2 left and it looks really freaking weird, but they just really won't come off. They're like bonded to my nail and they just won't come off. So I have 2 nails left. It looks really weird. Just ignore it. I need to go back to the salon. Hey guys, it's Natalie and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a book unhaul. I've been meaning to do this video for a while now, and all of these books I have just been meaning to cleanse my shelves of, and I have 40 books that I'm going to be getting rid of today for various reasons, so let's get straight into it. So the first group of books I'm going to show you are books that I read but really didn't enjoy. So the first one I have is Yes, No, Maybe So by Becky Albertalli and Aisha Saeed. This is actually one of my most anticipated releases of 2020, and I love both Becky Albertalli and Aisha Saeed. But personally, I just didn't really love the story. I liked the political aspects of the story and I really liked the activism that was going on, but I didn't really care for the romance or the characters. And Becky Albertalli and Aisha Saeed have very different voices as authors, and I just found they didn't really mesh well because you could kind of see the differences between their writing in every chapter, because the perspective of Jamie was written by Becky Albertalli and the perspective of Maya was written by Aisha Saeed, and I just found that I didn't really like it. So I gave it 3 stars. It wasn't bad, but I just didn't love it either, so I'm going to be passing this on to someone else who might love it even more than I did. So the next book I'm going to be passing on to someone else is Watch Us Rise by Renee Watson and Ellen Hagen, and I liked this book, but I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it either, and so I gave it a 3-star rating, and I only keep 3.5 to 5-star books on my shelf because I just think that if I didn't enjoy a book, I shouldn't keep it and I should pass it on to someone else who might enjoy it more than I did. And I liked this book. I really liked the activism and representation in this book, but personally I just think it wasn't very inclusive of queer people or disabled people, and I'm an intersectional feminist, and this book just focused mainly on our 2 main characters and nothing really outside of that or like what fit into their agenda. And I don't know, I just wish it was a little bit more inclusive, but it isn't a bad story. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the poetry that was woven into it. I just think that someone else might enjoy this more than I did. But yeah, I'm going to be passing this on probably to one of my younger sisters. So the next book I'm going to be unhauling is Baby Teeth by Zoe Stage. This is another book that I gave a 3-star rating to, and like I said, I don't keep 3-star books on my shelf. And this one is a thriller, and I just found that this one was a little bit lackluster for me, and I don't think it was as thrilling as I would have liked it to be, and I wasn't really satisfied with the ending of this, but I don't think this is overall a bad book. I originally gave it a 4-star rating, and then I knocked it down to 3.5, and then I knocked it down to 3 because I just kept thinking about it more and more and how I wasn't really satisfied with it. So I'm going to pass this on to someone else, and hopefully someone else will love this. And yeah, so the next book I'm going to be getting rid of is Roald Dahl's Book of Ghost Stories, and this is by a couple of different authors. This is a ghost story anthology series that I DNF'd last year during Spookathon, and I don't know why I haven't gotten rid of it yet. But yeah, I've had this book for a really long time, and I finally got around to reading it for Spookathon, and I just didn't find any of the stories scary, and they were in kind of like older English, and they were just kind of boring and unenjoyable for me. So I'm going to be passing this on to someone else. Hopefully someone else gets the heebie-jeebies from it. I personally didn't. So the next book I'm going to be getting rid of is Paper Towns by John Green, and I actually made it a goal in 2020 to read all of John Green's books, and I read this one last month in January. And I just didn't really love this book or hate this book. I just feel like I don't really love John Green's writing as much as I used to, and I think that his voice as an author to me is very like cynical and arrogant in terms of writing style, and it just doesn't sit well with me anymore. I don't know if it's just because I'm not a teenager anymore, but I think that a teenager would proper enjoy this instead of me. And I also don't really like John Green's flippant use of the R word in all of his books, and I just think it's kind of inappropriate. So yeah, I'm just going to be getting rid of this one, and hopefully someone else will love this. So the next book I'm going to be getting rid of is The Wives by Taryn Fisher, and I actually read this book last month, and I originally rated it a 4-star rating, but the more I thought about it, I didn't really like how mental illness was portrayed here, and it kind of made me uncomfortable. So I don't know, the more I thought about it, I changed my mind, and that's completely okay. I know a lot of people did love this, so I think that someone else will find this and fall in love with it. I just didn't really enjoy it as much as I thought I would. So yeah, the next book I'm going to be getting rid of is another one that I changed my mind about, and that is Let It Snow by John Green, Maureen Johnson, and Lauren Miracle. I picked this up in December and I read it because I wanted to read something really Christmassy, and also the movie had just come out and I wanted to read the book before I watched the movie. And I liked this at first, and I originally gave it a 4-star rating, but the more I thought about it, I just didn't really like it. And I was reading other people's reviews about how it's kind of misogynistic, and there's also, I believe, the R word in here because John Green loves to use that. So I don't know, I just changed my mind about it, and I think there's a lot better like Christmas themed books out there, and so I knocked my rating down back to a 3-star rating. So I will be getting rid of this, and hopefully someone else, maybe a teenager, would enjoy this. So the next book I'm going to be getting rid of is The Warden's Daughter by Jerry Spinelli, and I read this book last month and I listened to it on audio, and I don't think the story is like straight up horrible, but I don't really like how Jerry Spinelli wrote the people of color in this book. He did it especially poorly, and I feel like it could have done a lot better. There's a plus-size black character in this book, and he wrote her very stereotypically, and it was very harmful, and I just don't think it was right, and so it just kind of made me uncomfortable. And I just feel like if you're gonna write diverse characters, you should do it properly. And so yeah, I gave this book 3 stars. I wasn't really in love with it or anything. So the next book I'm going to be getting rid of is a book that I DNF'd, and that is Stay Sweet by Siobhan Vivian. And I listened to this on audio last month, and I got about 80% of the way through, but then it just really started to get worse as the book went on, so I decided to get rid of it. And this one is just about some girls in an ice cream store, and I just thought this book was a little bit misogynistic. There's a lot of toxic relationships in this book that just didn't really sit right with me, and I didn't really like the friendships in this book. Our main character was pretty much a doormat of a human being and just like let everybody walk all over her, and I just didn't really love to read about that. So I am going to be getting rid of this. Hopefully someone else will find it and enjoy it. It just wasn't for me. So the next book I'm going to be getting rid of is A Wrinkle in Time by Madeline L'Engle, and if you guys saw my Wrinkle in Time rant review, you guys would know that this is my least favorite book of 2019. I will link that rant review down below if you're interested in hearing all the reasons why I despise this book. But I really did not like the writing. I did not like our main character. She was incredibly whiny, and I just didn't like the plot. There was way too many tropes in this book, and none of the things that were happening were explained, and I just didn't really enjoy it. So yeah, this is my worst book of 2019. Like I said, I'll link my little rant review down below if you're interested. But yeah, I'm going to be getting rid of this one, finally cleansing my shelves of its grime. So the next book I'm going to be unhauling is another book that was in my worst books of 2019 video, which is going to be a shocker to some people, and that is The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. And I gave this book a 2-star rating because I really hated the romance in this book, and if you guys know me, you might know that I hate insta-love, and this book was exactly that. This book takes place over the course of 24 hours, and I just really did not care for one of our main characters, Natasha. I found her to be really rude and self-righteous, and I just didn't really like her. So I'm going to be getting rid of this book. Hopefully someone else will love this book. I know a lot of people in the booktube community love this book. It just wasn't for me, and I didn't really like how the romance kind of overpowered the serious topic of deportation in this book, and I just feel like it didn't really mesh together well for me. But like I said, I know a lot of people love this book, so I feel like someone is going to find this and 100% fall in love with it. It just wasn't for me. So the next book I'm going to be getting rid of is The Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown, and this is my first book that I read in 2019, and it was also the first book that I DNF'd in 2019. So I DNF'd this book at about either 45 or 50%. I just really lost interest in this, and I wasn't exactly sure what's going on. Not a lot of people mentioned that the Da Vinci Code is the second book in a series called the Robert Langdon series, and I wasn't aware of that. And so probably that's why I didn't understand what was going on. I just don't really think this was like the mind-blowing masterpiece that everyone says it is, and I just really did not enjoy it. So I'm going to be passing this on to someone else. Hopefully someone else will enjoy it. It just was not for me. So the next book I'm going to be getting rid of is another one that was on my worst books of 2019 list, and that is The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. I decided to reread this one last year because I wanted to give it another go. I read it in high school, but I didn't really remember too much about it. And I just really did not enjoy the story, and I found it to be kind of lackluster, and the stereotypes were very heavy in this book, and I didn't really like the fragile male egos of all our characters, and it just did not sit well with me. And that doesn't mean it's not for anybody just because it's not for me. I know a lot of people love The Outsiders. This book is considered a classic, and I know that when I donate this, someone else is going to find it and love it. The next book I'm going to be getting rid of is another one that was on my worst books of 2019 list, and that is The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. I was really excited for this book because I'd heard so many good things about it, and the cover is just straight up stunning, and I love fantasy books, and the premise of this sounded really interesting. But personally, I just did not enjoy it at all, and it was very messy, very all over the place. This book felt kind of like a fever dream for me, and I forgot 90% of what happened as soon as I closed the book, and it was just really forgettable for me. And there was also a scene in this book where there was an interaction with a police officer, and our biracial character was very uncomfortable with the situation, and our main character was just kind of dismissing his uncomfortableness around a police officer because he's biracial, and that just kind of made me uncomfortable, and it wasn't really discussed, and she wasn't corrected on her ignorance, and I just found that to be really just not good. So I'm going to be getting rid of this, but I know a lot of people do love this book, so I'm sure someone else will find this one and enjoy it. It's just not for me. So the next book I'm going to be getting rid of is one that I DNF'd in 2019, and that is One Day in December by Josie Silver, and this one is an adult romance. And I wanted to pick this one up because I wanted to give Insta-Love a second chance, because like I mentioned before, I don't like Insta-Love at all. And this book is Insta-Love, but it is a relationship that kind of cultivates over the course of 10 years. Like, this book takes place over 10 years. But I don't know, I just really found it to be just too insta-lovey for me, and I didn't really like our male character because he kept comparing our main character to her best friend, like saying, oh, one is so sexy and the other one's just like the girl next door. And I just didn't really like the man perspective of this. I think his name is Jack. I just really did not like his perspective, and I just could not get into this, so I DNF'd this one at, I believe, 25%. But I know a lot of people love this book, and it's one of their favorite holiday romance reads. It just was not for me. So the next group of books I'm going to be getting rid of are some books that I just don't think that I'm ever going to get around to reading, or that I don't really have any interest in reading anymore. And the first one I have is called Untamed by A.G. Howard, and I can't really remember where this came from. I think this might have been gifted to me, I'm not 100% sure, but this is the second book in a series that I have never read or heard of, and I just don't think I'm ever going to get around to it. I have tons of books on my shelf that need to be read. I think I have 80 books on my physical TBR, so I really need to get rid of stuff that I think I'm genuinely not going to read. So unfortunately, I'm going to be getting rid of this one, but maybe someone else has read the first book in the series and they're just looking for the second. That's what I'm hoping. So I will be donating this one. The next books I'm going to be getting rid of are actually part of a series, and I borrowed these from my sister, so I'm actually just going to be giving them back to her. But I wanted to include them in this video because I like to keep track of what's coming in and out of my bookshelf. So they are the 3 last books in the Darkest Minds trilogy. I don't know what happened to the first one. I think my sister couldn't find it, so she just gave me the last 3 in the series, which doesn't make any sense, but you know, it's fine. I just don't think I'm ever going to get to this series, and I know a lot of people like this series, but I just have so many books on my TBR, like I said, so I'm just going to be passing these on back to her, and you know, hopefully she'll be happy to have them back on her shelf. The next 3 books I have are also part of a series, and that is the In Boonesboro trilogy by Nora Roberts, and this is a romance trilogy that I just don't think I'm ever going to get around to. I read the first couple chapters of the first book and I just really was not interested, so I'm just going to be donating this, and hopefully someone else will find this. They are in pretty good condition, and it's a trilogy set and all of the books are together, so I think someone is going to find this and think it's a steal. So yeah, I just don't think I'm ever going to get around to these, and yeah. So the next book I'm going to be getting rid of is Note to Self by Connor Fronta, and this is a, I believe, part memoir, part poetry book, and I never really watched Connor Fronta on YouTube or anything like that. or listen to his music. Does he make music? I honestly have no idea. I know literally nothing about Connor Franta, but this was gifted to me I think like 4 or 5 years ago, and it's just been sitting on my shelf ever since, and I just have never picked it up. And it's a really pretty book, and it's got like photography in it and stuff like that. I just don't think I'm ever gonna get around to it because, like I said, it's been on my shelf for many, many years, and I just don't think I'm ever gonna get around to it. So hopefully someone else will love this. So the next 3 books I'm going to be getting rid of are all part of a series. These are the first 3 books in the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children series. I actually love this series so much, and it's one of my favorites of all time. But these 3 belong to my sister, so I'm just going to be giving them back to her. And I just recently ordered a hardcover box set of the first 3 books in the series, so I'm going to be giving these back to her, and I'm sure she'll be missing them. And yeah, I actually really love this series. I don't hate it or anything. That's not why I'm getting rid of it. I just bought my own box set. So the next 3 books I'm going to be getting rid of are also part of a series, and I think this is the last series I have to show, and that is the Divergent series by Veronica Roth. And I found these at the thrift store a while ago, and they're all in really great conditions, and I just don't think I'm ever going to read these again. I really loved these when I was in middle/high school. I just don't think I'm ever going to read them again. But hopefully someone else will love these. I feel like my little sister would definitely love these, so I think I'm going to pass them on to her. But yeah, I just don't think I'm ever going to read it again. I don't know why I keep kidding myself thinking that I'm going to reread books that I read when I was in middle school, but here we are. So yeah, I'm going to be getting rid of these. Hopefully my sister will love these. So the next book I'm going to be getting rid of is Dreams of Gods and Monsters by Laini Taylor, and this is the 3rd book in the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy. And this one I actually picked up at my local dollar store for only $1, and it's like a brand new paperback. But the thing is, I want to order a boxed set like in hardcover, so, and also I only have the 3rd book in the series, so I was like, okay, I'll just buy the hardcover box set. I'll take the plunge, whatever, it's fine. So yeah, I will be donating this one to my local thrift store, and hopefully, I hope there's someone out there who's like, I need the 3rd book in the trilogy, where is it? And then they find it at the thrift store. So hopefully I will be that savior for someone. So I'm going to give this to my local Goodwill. So the next 3 books I have are purely for nostalgic reasons that I've been holding on to them. And the first one is Blizzard of the Blue Moon by Mary Pope Osborne, and this is the Magic Treehouse book that I read in December last year because my boyfriend was rummaging through his old childhood belongings and he found this, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's Christmas themed, there's a unicorn, I need to read it. So I read it purely for nostalgic reasons, and I loved it. Obviously I gave it 5 out of 5 stars because you can't go wrong with Magic Treehouse, but I just don't think I'm going to keep it and read it again. I don't think I'm ever going to read any other books in the series again. This was just a purely opportunistic read. So yeah, hopefully I will donate this and someone will love it. It's in great condition. It's freaking sparkly. There's a unicorn on it, and it's beautiful under the dust jacket. So someone else will find this, and some child will squeal with glee that they found this. So yeah, these next 2 books I've had for the longest time. I've literally had these since I was a child, but I just don't think I'm ever going to read them again. And that is the first 2 books in the Chronicles of Narnia series. The first one is The Magician's Nephew, and the second one is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. This one is my old beat up copy that I've literally had since I was a young child, and this one was gifted to me a really long time ago, I believe for Christmas when I was a kid, and it's actually really nice. The pages are really thick and there's like illustrations in it. I just don't think I'm ever going to read this series again. So yeah, I know some kid will find this and love this, and I feel like they deserve that opportunity. So I'm not going to hold on to these any longer. I know I'm not going to read them, so yeah, I'm going to be getting rid of those. So we only have 7 more books to talk about, and all of these are books that I really loved, but I wanted to get different editions of them. So the first one is The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak, and I absolutely loved this book. It was one of my favorite books of last year, and I gave it 5 stars. It was amazing, but I just wanted to get a hardcover edition of it, so I will be giving this to one of my sisters to read because I absolutely loved this and I want them to read it too. So I will definitely be giving this to them, and this is a really nice floppy paperback, and I know that they're going to love it. So yeah, I'm going to be giving this to them. So the next book I'm going to be getting rid of is The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald, and I actually just got this literally a couple of weeks ago, and I ordered it from the UK. but I really don't like this edition because it's really skinny and the words are really small, and I really just thought this was going to be like a normal size like hardcover, so I just did not get what I expected. Maybe I should have read the dimensions of the book. Normally I don't do that, but maybe I should have. So I'm going to actually be returning this one to Amazon because I'm still in like that month window where I can return it. It's just been sitting on my shelf brand new, unused. So I'm going to return this one, and I'm going to look for a different hardcover edition. There's one on Book Depository that I really have had my eye on, so I think I'm going to get that one. But yeah, I really do like this cover. I like how there's like a woman on it as opposed to a man on the original cover. So yeah, I'm going to be getting rid of this one. So the next book I'm going to be getting rid of is actually another copy of The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I don't know if I mentioned in the last clip, but I actually did really love this book. I reread it last month and I gave it 5 stars. And it was my second time reading it, like I said. But this copy I got from the thrift store for like 99 cents, and it's a really old paperback copy from the 90s. And I just think I'm going to either give this to my sisters or donate it because I, like I said, am looking for a hardcover edition, and I just don't really want to keep any paperbacks on my shelf unless I absolutely have to. So yeah, I'm going to be getting rid of this one, and hopefully someone else will read this and love it just as I did. The next book I'm going to be getting rid of is The Giver by Lewis Lowry, and I read this last year in, I believe, September because I was rereading a bunch of classics that month. And this is a little mass market paperback that I picked up from the thrift store. And like I said, I already read it, gave it like 4 stars I think, and I really enjoyed it, but I want a hardcover edition, so I'm going to be getting rid of this one. And I would give this one to my sisters, but I think they already have like 3 copies of that book, so I'm going to give this to the thrift store and hopefully someone else will find it and love it just like I did. This one has a really nice cracked spine, and here's an unpopular opinion. I actually like mass market paperbacks. I have really sensitive hands, and my knuckles and my wrists hurt really easily, so it's a lot easier for me to hold paperbacks, like little mass market paperbacks, rather than hardcovers. I just really like the way hardcovers look on my shelf. But yeah, I will be getting rid of this one, unfortunately, even though I actually like mass market paperbacks. So yeah. So the next book I'm going to be getting rid of is Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi, and don't fret, this was my favorite book of 2019, like my #1 favorite book. But I actually accidentally cracked the hell out of the spine when I read this, and it is literally just like flop central now. And so I actually picked up the Barnes & Noble exclusive Reaper edition of this book from Barnes & Noble, and I just gave this one to my sisters. And they actually both read it. I made them both read it. I was like, here's my favorite book, read it. So they both read it, and my sister's actually currently keeping this one on her shelf, but I just snagged it for this video. So yeah, I am going to be getting rid of this one, and my little sisters will be keeping it and loving it forever because it's my favorite book, and I'm going to force them to read it until they die. So the next book I'm going to be getting rid of is A List of Cages by Robin Rowe, and I actually really loved this book. It was on my favorite books of 2019 list. But this is a paperback copy that I got from the thrift store a really long time ago, and I just recently ordered a hardcover edition, so I'm going to be getting rid of this one. And I know that my sisters will definitely love this book, so I'm going to be giving this to them. I absolutely loved this book. It's amazing. I gave it 5 stars. But like I said, it's just a paperback copy, and I don't really like to keep paperback copies on my shelf unless I absolutely have to. So the last book I'm going to be passing on to someone else is Girl in Pieces by Kathleen Glasgow. And this was a book that I really enjoyed last year, and I gave a 4-star rating to. I just really, like I said, I don't really like paperbacks because I don't think they're very durable, and I really hate cracked spines. I hate it with a passion, and like I said, hardcovers just hold up longer. They look really pretty on the shelf, even though paperbacks are a lot easier for me to hold with my crappy ass tendons. But I'm going to be getting rid of this. Hopefully, I think my sisters are going to love this because, you know, you can't really go wrong with hard-hitting contemporary. My sisters are kind of like in that age range where they can read this, so I'm going to be giving this to them. I recently just ordered a hardcover copy, which are actually really hard to find because the hardcover for this is out of print, so I had to order a used copy, but I found one that was like in really good condition, so I'm going to be giving this to them. and hopefully they will enjoy it. So those are the 40 books that I am unhauling, and some of them, like I said, I'm giving to my sisters to pass it on to them to read, or I'm going to be donating them, yada yada yada. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. It feels so good to cleanse my shelves, and I think it's perfect just in time for spring cleaning, so Marie Kondo would be very proud of me right now. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like, subscribe down below, and leave a comment letting me know some books that you got rid of recently. Let's spill the tea together. So yeah, thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye!